Okay, homework 10 is on direct, joint, and inverse variation. So I want to make sure we've got the formulas up on the top here so we can use them. So direct variation, we have y equals k times x. So that's y is directly proportional to x. Inverse variation, we've got y equals k divided by x. So an inverse, the variables in the denominator like that. It's an inverse relationship. And then jointly just means that it's set up like direct variation, except there are two variables instead of just one. And then you could have a combination of these two that could pop up as well. All right, so translation. W is directly proportional to V. So directly proportional would be this scenario right here. And really all that's happening is you have W is, and then this is the direct setup. So directly proportional to V, like that. Okay, so you can do the same sort of thing for everything else in this section. Next section, 7 through 12, we're determining which one of these three it represents. Remember, it could be a combo of direct and inverse. So this, when you're dividing by the variable, if there's a variable in the denominator, it's an inverse variation. Okay, so we start by saying that it is an inverse variation, then identify the constant. So the constant of variation is like the k. So here, the k is 100. All right, so we've got these different variation models. We're going to do a couple of setups. So start with the sentence, this phrase right here. So y is directly proportional to x. So that's just like this one. Y is directly proportional to x. So it's going to be this. Like this is kind of your initial setup as you have y equals k times x. And so using that, then they give you this initial value right here. Okay, so you can set that up. So now we know 17.5 is equal to k times 21. So notice what ends up happening there is you divide by the 21, you end up getting a value for k that you can use in the rest of your problem. All right, so we divide both sides by 21 like this. So the 21 cancels, and then we get a value for k, and we can use that value for k in the rest of the problem. So this, we can do 17.5 divided by 21, and that is 0.83 repeating, or if we wanted to do it just as a decimal form, it's 35 over 42, which does reduce down to 5/6. So this is either 8.83 repeating or 5/6, whichever one you want to use. So now that you know k, we can find the second part. So find y when x is 39. So now we do y equals, we know k. So just to make sure it comes out exact, I'm going to use the fraction form of k times x, which is 39. So we're just subbing back into this equation right here. So I can reduce this down. 6 and 39 are both divisible by 3. So I can take this reduced down by 3, take this reduced down by 3. So take 5 times 13 divided by 2, and that comes out to be 32.5. So this is the value that you're looking for. Okay, so that was the first type, the direct variation. Let's find another one on the back here. So let's do number 17. 17 is inverse variation. So the setup says y varies inversely with x. So you can set up y equals k divided by x for your setup there. So first we're going to use the initial quantity that they give us to solve for k. All right, so we have y equals 4.75 equals, we don't know k, over x, which in this first quantity is 38. So with this one, we're going to multiply both sides by 38. Because when you multiply this by 38, you'll get it out of the denominator. And then when you multiply the other side by 38, then you'll end up solving for k. All right, so multiply both sides by 38. So let me show you the calculator. So the left-hand side, 4.75, multiply that by 38. So you end up with 180.5. So that's the value of k. Okay, so now sub this in. Now find y when x is 50. So y equals k, which we now know is 180.5, divided by x, and this time they're telling us to plug in 50 for x. And once we simplify that, then we'll solve for y. So 180.5 divided by 50. So 3.61 would be your answer for number 17. Okay, and then remember some of these you've got like jointly means you just have two other variables in the numerator. Inversely and directly means you have one variable in the denominator, one variable in the numerator. So let's look at, we can have one set up here. Let's look at number 20, one of the story problem examples. All right, so it says the cost to print flyers varies directly with the number of copies. Okay, so let's say, let's use C for the cost and then N for the number of copies. So the cost varies directly with the number of copies. So you could set up something like that. If it cost $45 to print 750 copies, you can use that to find K, what will be the total cost for 120 more copies? So it cost $45 to print 750 copies. So we can use that to solve for K. So we're going to divide both sides by 750. All right, so 45 divided by 750. So we do that. So 45 divided by 750 reduces down to 3 over 50, or you could do 0.06 would be the decimal, whichever you prefer. So we do this and we end up with 0.06, which is the same as 3 over 50, whichever you prefer. And so now we know that. It says 120 more, so be careful there. That means 750 plus 120, so that would be 870 total. So now we want to know the total cost. K is 0.06 times 120 more, which like we said would be 870. So this is saying it's basically 6 cents per copy. That's what K ends up telling us. So if we multiply this out, we have 0.06 times 870. So this comes out to be $52.20. They did say the total cost, not just for the 120 more, but the cost total. Or another way you could have done it is you could have plugged 120 in here and then taken what you got and added it to the $45 that you already started with. So 2 different ways you could have done that one.